Hello, 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 everyone. We've got special episode coming in of No Office Podcast, special impromptu, uh, live episode with my good friend Augusto Pinaud. Hey, Augusto.
Hello, sir. How are you today?
So Rafa is not here. I just canceled him out, and he's on vacation, so he doesn't know that we're recording a podcast. We went rogue.
That's what I call go and hack the system.
Exactly. So
When
um,
he changed the password, don't ask him why.
yeah, the thing is, we have all these passwords in one password, so I have access to everything. Just the question is if I know how these things work, but I think I do. So we got it covered, and as you might know, and you might have read on my blog, I met for the first time in my life in person Augusto a few months back. We've been friends for more than a decade now, but we've been always online friends, and we first saw each other in the States a few months ago. So it was fantastic.
It was
Um,
a really fun trip.
Yes, Augusto is also the one that gave me the gift of this beautiful Lego logo that you can see in the background of my recording, and that's gloriously right now displayed in my home office as it should. As I always tell people, it's a very serious business advice: put Legos on the wall. This is really important in your home office. So. So we got that, and we decided, Augusto. Why did we decided to do this rogue episode?
So this rogue episode is an opportunity to geek out about the Vision Pro. Michael and I, uh, some decades ago now, apparently,
Yeah.
uh, begin playing with this little device who nobody has faith on, called the iPad. And when the iPad came out, people were like, I don't know, that's a consumption device. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And we both discover playing full time, working full time, and doing everything full time on that device. To this day, my main device is still an iPad. The only thing is which one I grab. Because I have now more than one. I'm fully engaged that what is called multipad lifestyle or whatever it's called. So depending what I'm going to do, I grab one or I grab another one. So the with Apple announcement of the Vision Pro, there were a couple of things that came to my mind. One is see how Apple has mastered the process of launching new categories. And they did a lot of play with the Apple Watch. If people remember the first Apple Watch was this expensive toy, took them a couple of generations to really make that a health device or a health center device and really put it in the hands of most people. I think it was generation three what really began to hit most people wrist. So with this new device, the Vision Pro, I've been laughing and sending messages to Michael as, oh, this reminds me of something. What it reminds me, because it was exactly how I remember when the iPad was launched. Oh, nobody's going to use this. Oh, this is a consumption device. This is just going to be for play. As the guys who co-wrote the first iPad book, the iPad only book, I decided I wanted to really sit and geek out about this and really share a little bit of our experience, what it was to be iPad only at that time. And with that experience now, what we guess is going to be the future of this platform.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, when I was listening this week to ATP FM, so actual accidental tech podcast, um, they were discussing that as well. Like if the Vision Pro headset, if it can be a serious work device, and they said, actually Casey said that if he would be the person who could get stuff done on the iPad, he could imagine himself getting stuff done on the Vision Pro. That's why your assumption is pretty correct, and it's a good, it's a yeah, it's a good starting point. I think we were the pioneers, and people don't believe still us that in my home office, the in our home offices, the Macs, we have the Macs, but the Macs are our background devices. They are not our main devices. If I want to get work done, I have my iPad here, but then everything else, like the canvas on the 4K screen and all that stuff on the MacBook Air, they're just additional things that help me get my work done. But they're just additional things. The main thing is the iPad. All my main workflow is on the iPad, and that's why I think people like us would very quickly get used to working on the Vision Pro, because what they have revealed with the Vision Pro and what the reviewers who have, I mean, not reviewers, but people who have had the experience of testing the Vision Pro, what they said is that both of these, 4K displays that you have in front of your eyes, they're so sharp that like they're full retina. So it's like you see everything. You see the text, everything is crystal crisp, crystal clear. So you could imagine yourself like just having just this device and just putting your whole computing life in front of you, like, and just having these windows in different places, uh, completely in front of you. So I think, yeah, people like us who have been using, iOS devices, especially iPads for work, uh, could just get started right away.
Yeah, it was funny on the pre-show before we started recording the show. I opened on my iPad and Michael was like, "Where is the microphone?" Oh yeah, it's true. We're recording. So I needed to change to the Mac. The Mac, even the Mac in my office may even move from where it is currently, based on what I've been reading on iOS 17, that I will be able to connect this microphone to the iPad and work it as a microphone. And if that work as advertised, this Mac will then go to the closet because I will just put a second iPad on the front and don't need to touch the iPad anymore. The Mac will be just the thing that I use to put the movies for the kids. So it goes to the server.
Yeah, I mean, for me, as I explained on my blog, the whole setup with the MacBook Air and the screen and the microphone, it's all just there, so I can be really instantly productive. So if I need to have like an instantly good recording quickly, I can just switch to that while having my iPad still free to be here, like, ready as my device. Okay, so let's talk about the Apple Vision Pro. This very cheap $3,500
Well,
device.
okay, I'm going to start there. And I understand it's not, no, it is not a cheap device. But wait a minute. If I will go to my office, you have been in my office, and now I can say that. Okay.
Yes.
I have more screens that I'm going to publicly recognize in my office. Okay. They are in front of me here. There is six, and there is three on my left. So that's nine screens. If you get to replace all those nine screens at one time, that's way
Yeah.
more expensive than that toy. Okay. That let me start there.
Hmm.
So yes, it is not a cheap computing device. True. But I don't think it was that outrageous. If you can have that amount of screens at that resolution in a
Hmm.
virtual world, that's worth it. Because, for example, we are traveling like for a vacation. And if I travel for vacation, I'm not taking every machine, almost every machine. But if I'm traveling by car, every machine is coming, the desk is coming. If I travel by plane, I can't. But by car, everything is coming, including the desk. My desk is a pole. I know you have put pictures in the Nozbe is basically a pole. So I can take it apart, put it in a bag in the car. In the
I mean, the
plane,
car can take anything, so that's true.
exactly, exactly.
Hmm.
So the the thing is, if I'm traveling, okay, now I can take my office anywhere. That again, it is very exciting for me.
Yeah.
The question will be there, and there is a second element. One, there is a lot to know that we don't know yet, that we will learn as time progresses. Actually, one of the things I would love to be more and understand much more is development. So I can pay whatever is the money for it to get access to the development and the code and the programming on the background to learn more. Because one of the things that we are forgetting is the industries that are going to be formed because of this. And
Uh huh.
Apple is doing something very brilliantly. They're giving access to developers 9 months early.
Yeah.
And when you think on the iPad, okay, and if we talk specifically about Nozbe, when the iPad was launched, Nozbe was significantly impacted. I'm not saying in a bad way. I'm saying impacted in how things were, because before that iPad, there was so little touchscreens. Yes, you have the tablet PC, but
Mhm.
that was not really a strong market. The finger didn't matter as much. When that came, I remember that the beginning of the changes of Nozbe to be a much more universal platform, that now you can be really a standard because you were moving into a different things. But also, let's remember how many things on the iPad were created by developers,
Yeah,
not
of
by
course.
Apple.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And in that case, they are really they have to pre-announce it to be able to also see what people can come up with,
Mhm.
because they have, came up with the basics. So let's talk about the basics. So the coolest thing, as you said, is like you can have all of your screens in one device. So basically, you can put Windows anywhere you want in your augmented reality, like so anywhere. So this moment, like when you just get out of the car, go to the hotel, put on this thing, and you have your instantly your office, like just the same way. So this is brilliant. Like this, especially I think for people who are not only working from home, but actually working from different places and switching places, for them to be instantly productive in any environment, even like everywhere, like even waiting for the freaking plane, like when they are like waiting for the plane,
Mhm.
they can sit down and just put this thing on and just create their environment and just continue work until they are being called to proceed to the gate. So in that sense, it's really cool. Like it's really really cool. And they are still aware of their surroundings, which is just amazing. Because I remember I tried some of these VR headsets, and the first thing is that you are completely blocked out, you're completely in a different place. And here you're not, you're like kind of in the place but not in the place. So I think it's brilliant the way they did it. So so that would be our I think our first argument, and that you can be instantly productive from anywhere using this device. Of course, now we can get to the nitty gritty of the battery and all that stuff, but let's assume like this is not an issue. So in that sense, you have your work set up anywhere, which is great, which I think is fantastic. Um, and the whole headset is a computer already. It's an M2 computer, so it's
Mhm.
already a very powerful, pretty powerful computer for any kind of office work. Like it's not a slouch. So it's in that sense, you have a pretty powerful. I mean, my MacBook Air here that powers this whole thing is M1. So we have the M2 computer with all these sensors and stuff. So in that sense, you take all of your screens and the whole and your basically entire computer setup with you anywhere you want to go.
And exactly that is the question. Where do you want to go?
Hmm.
Because, I remember when we wrote the iPad only, um, one of the things that I remembered you discussing extensively was how the iPad didn't limit you, but changed the order in which you need to do things. And I specifically remember you talking about email attachments. And you said, and I'm misquoting probably, but it's something on the lines of, in a computer, you start with the email and then attach the file and then send it. And what that produced is that you many times forgot the email.
Oh
On the
yes.
iPad, you start with the attachment and then go to the communication.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The whole paradigm shift for me working from the iPad was the fact, as Augusto said, you share the document. So by sharing the document, you chose the means to share it. So, for example, via email. But on the desktop, very often, like so many times, people would write the email, yeah, and then everything is an attachment, and they would just send it, and they're like, oh, I forgot about the attachment, like because they would first start with the email message and then go back to the attachment. On the iPad, we would start with actually what we want to send.
Yeah. So I think that's a paradigm shift that we're going to see. I agree with you. I have tried a couple of VR for gaming, and I even try one for work with the idea of, put the screen on the iPad in a larger perspective. And it was cool. Yes, it was. I mean, it was very amazing to see that thing in that massive, but it didn't. I can't touch type, so okay, the typing was not an issue, but I couldn't interact with
Mm,
this. What I think this bring an incredible advantage and a game changing is the interaction part. With most of the glasses that I see on the market, there is the interaction is still happen on the keyboard and the mouse. So if I'm not seeing on the keyboard and the mouse, that limits my interaction. If I'm not touching my screen, that limits my interaction. Here, it seems like that problem is away. So now I'm really interacting in the air. The other thing is, again, it seems that what work on the iPad most likely will work on this device. What work on your
yeah,
phone will be. And that give, again, something that it's very powerful. When people ask me, why do you use, or why your office work environment is on an Apple ecosystem, I say, because I can grab any device in my office and it's completely transparent.
yeah,
I may not use the MacBook, but I can grab this MacBook and open the last document I was working in a click. I don't need to try to figure it out what that thing is.
yeah,
I can grab an iPad, I can grab my phone. There is a massive productivity factor in there where I don't need to, I can grab any device and continue exactly where I was. Now envision exactly what you were describing. You get to your hotel, you get your goggles, you start working, okay, shut off the thing, go for dinner with your iPad under your arm, and the person you were going to meet for dinner is not there. Now you open the iPad and continue exactly where you were.
yeah,
There is a massive power of that. Not only that, we are going to go to a hybrid world, regardless of what people think and articles said. There is not coming back to the office. There are certain jobs that may require you to go more often, but most people are not going back to the office. Most people
yeah.
will
I
be
mean, good luck to all the bosses that will try to force people to go to the office.
right.
These people will move on to different companies, so eventually they will all give up. Yeah.
They will give up. Now, imagine working in that kind of environment. Okay. The reason
Mm,
I have so many screens is that, okay, if I can get rid of all these screens and just have that and remove everything from my office and have a much even cleaner office, again, for my perspective, that's totally worth it. The other thing that I was particularly excited about it is how Apple position this. My concern, okay, in this worst ever secret kept by Apple,
hmm.
was that they tried to go to the game market. Okay, and
Yeah.
if they go to the game market, this device for me is dead on arrival. But they went from the productivity.
Hmm.
Right now, the only real serious competitor Apple may have is Samsung, because it's the only one who has really the tools to integrate their Samsung devices into a device like that.
And they have good copiers. They copy very quickly. So
Correct. And they
yeah,
copy very quick. As soon as they grab their hands in 9 months, the Samsung device is coming.
yeah.
And Samsung has been working very, very, very hard into create that ecosystem. Okay, so they have been for a couple of years now copying the Apple playbook.
Hmm.
That said, that gives them 2 years ahead of the game. And
Yeah.
for Samsung to really compete, they need to get Google on board. So it is going to be challenging from the competition perspective.
Hmm.
But from the productivity perspective, okay, the fact that I can get there with that, that I can minimize all that as soon as somebody walks into my office, and even if I don't take them out, I can move. I can, minimize everything and walk and grab a cup of coffee. Okay,
And not
I
spill it.
don't. I don't spill it right.
Hmm.
That's going to make for a very powerful productivity environment. Is every application going to work as well in the PC? Somebody was sharing with me, well, I spend so much time in Excel that is useless. This device is useless for me. Yeah, you are always going to find the people who need that specific piece of software. But Apple has always been clear they don't need to conquer everyone. They need
Yeah.
to fit a very specific niche. From a developer perspective, they have you can now develop in the iPad. I don't see reasons why you're not going to be able to develop there. From a designer perspective, you even now have Final Pro. Do you I'm not a video guy. I'm completely incompetent about it, but I'm going to recognize the idea of turn on something like um the Video Pro editing for Apple on a massive screen, all virtually. It is very exciting, even if you don't do video.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and think about that. So this vision again, going back to this idea that we will be hybrid. So people will be traveling between office and home, and they will, and let's say the bosses finally will budge, and then we'll let people have the flexibility, which we always say that people need the flexibility to be able to decide which day they want to go to the office, which day they choose to stay at home.
Mhm.
So again, with this device, they can just travel with this device, go to the office, and have the same setup. So the setup hasn't changed. Like they have the same device, and this is what I mean. My wife does that already. I think your wife does the same thing. My wife has her laptop, which is her laptop desktop, because she basically hot desks the laptop. At home she has a dedicated, external screen and all that stuff, and she connects it there. And at work she has the same thing. She has external screens, connects it there. So with the same device. With this, it's even better because you have everything set up. So you just put it on and it just works. Of course, now the question is this device comfortable enough to be wearing like hours a day? I don't know. People, of course, have just tried that and I mean have tried for like 30 minutes and they were blown away, whatever. um I don't know how good of a of a comfortable of a feel it gives to be able to actually use it for hours in a day. But if it's comfortable, then of course, yeah, you have really your computing setup there. And then um, let's get back to what we wrote in the iPad only book. One of the reasons we started using the iPad was because it was freaking fun,
Mhm.
because you could touch email, you could touch things, you could just move things around. And for many people, it wasn't really productive or it was very optimal because you couldn't really like have short keys and things and shortcuts and all that stuff. I mean, we loved the iPad before there were Siri shortcuts on that, before there was workflow.
Right.
Um, and 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 we still loved it because like this tactile thing of being able to touch things, move things around, it was just so much joy. The fact that we could, turn the iPad around, like we could have the iPad, in a portrait mode, and then move it in landscape mode, and then move it to the portrait mode and
Mhm.
back, like depending how you wanted to use it. So in that sense, it was just so much fun. And I think it's kind of similar fun for this device, because they said that, first of all, you use the device with your eye tracking. So basically you look at things and it just knows what you're looking at, which is spooky and incredible and magical.
It's
um,
awesome.
and on the other hand, you use you can just pinch and, like use the fingers, or you can basically just touch these things, and then they know where you touch. So I think it could be also pretty fun device to use.
I agree with you. It is going to be very fun, or it seems to be very fun. And and from the beginning, it seems is that is starting with a very difference from the iPad. Okay, the first iPad that I loved dearly was very underpowered.
Yeah.
Okay, and and it was what it was. Okay, and for me was still a benefit. I think I got um my second iPad came when the iPad Mini. That's your fault.
Mhm.
I still
Yeah.
it's on the book. It's still your fault,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I know. I am
but
to blame. Everybody knows that.
you are
Hmm.
to blame. That's when I got the second iPad, or the two iPads at the same time, and I never looked back to that. Okay, and with this device, one of the main difference is, as you were mentioning early, it is not underpowered. I mean,
Yeah.
it will have the same chipset as a MacBook, the same chipset as my iPad. So out of the box, as it coming right now, I will be able to do most of what I can do on the iPad, assuming developers have the opportunity to release the software for that. And that it's incredible. It is incredible to think that. And when I got the iPad, I was heavily traveling for work. Okay? That will
Hmm.
have been again a no-brainer to get it. As it was, I remember when I got the first tablet PC. Okay, that's many moons back.
Yeah.
Okay, why I got the tablet PC? The tablet PC wasn't cheap; it was a very expensive tool.
Yeah, I
But at
remember.
the time, it was a fantastic thing for what I was doing. I was selling business intelligence. I was not yet full into coaching and productivity, and the ability to show a diagram and write into diagram for the client, okay, bring me more than enough sales to justify this toy.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, is this toy justifiable? Well, the first question for me will be, will how creepy will be, because right now we are in the camera, okay?
Yeah.
How creepy will be that artificial intelligence thing that they're going to create of me, and how much that will really be useful for this kind of things. And if the answer is not, it's fine. I will take it up and do it in the iPad. I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. That said, I'm going to bring something that works maybe for me, but it works for me. Imagine now for a second, for you, maybe other things, go to writing mode, okay,
Yeah.
where I can put that thing, okay, and write mode on this massive screen where I'm sure I will be able to flip the way I want, or at least make it thin enough so it looks like it is portrait instead of landscape,
Yeah.
and be able to write. It do There are so many things that that interaction for me is the next step on the iPad. And people ask me often, I don't understand why the iPad and not get the MacBook and use the MacBook as your primary machine. And I have always said it's a touchscreen. And I remember a discussion you and I had where I was complaining about the MacBook not being touchscreen. It says too thin. The screen on the back is too thin for that.
Yeah.
And And I get it. I intellectually understand it. I still want the larger screen and I want a touch screen. Now that's exactly what I'm going to get. I will get my headset, assuming my uh, prescription work, hopefully.
Yeah,
And
it
then
will.
I will get now a massive screen that I will be able to interact. I think, like any big change, do this machine is for everyone? No. Do this machine have the potential to revolutionize as we understand computers? Oh yeah, I
Oh yeah.
have no doubt in that.
So let's make a sponsor break in our podcast, and then we'll talk about the revolution that it might bring. So as you know, our sponsor of our podcast is, of course, Nozbe. I am the CEO of Nozbe. Augusto is one of our Nozbe experts, and uh, Nozbe is a tool, is an app that helps small business owners and their teams um, get their personal life and professional life organized in one very simple app. And this is what we do. We've been doing this for the last 16 years. And especially now in this podcast, I would like to advertise that um, we have starting from July 1st, we must, we decided to raise the prices and harmonize the prices between Nozbe Personal and Nozbe Teams. I mean the old Nozbe Teams now called the new Nozbe, and because of that, from July 1st, there will be new pricing. And that's why in June, now, when you're listening to this, you can still get your Nozbe, the one that you choose, at your price. And you can extend for a year or even a few years if you like it so much, or if you're like us and you're thinking long term. This way, you can secure your pricing for now, but then the next renewal will be already at the new pricing. We had to do it for economic reasons, for many reasons, but also this new pricing will also give us an option to really even more aggressively better iterate on the product, and that's why we had to do it. So that's why we are giving heads up to our current customers that they can still extend with their pricing, because we don't want to make this change too fast on our good customers. So far, so good, Augusto. We are halfway through June, and really hundreds of customers have decided to just vote with their wallet and just give us the money. There was a very cool email from one of the customers saying that this can't be true. I'm sure I was paying more for Nozbe like each year, but then I checked my invoice, and my invoice from 2018 was the same as from this year. So I was like, okay, I'm going to pay years in advance. Thank you guys for the heads up. So it was, yeah. So yeah, we are completely sincere and transparent, as you know, Augusto, about this. And we tried to, and believe me, as a CEO, it was a hard decision to, raise the prices and anyway, tinker with the prices, because I know how diversive of a topic this is, but we had to do it, and so far so good. Our customers are great, and that's why it gets me even more excited about the future. And we have lots of cool things for Nozbe in the pipeline for the rest of the year. So stay tuned. Now back to the show. Vision Pro, will this revolutionize computing?
Well, that's what happened when you don't have the books. We
Augusto. Yeah.
we open the our iPad only book with a quote
By the way,
from.
iPad only book at iPadonly.com, you can actually read it for free. You
Yep.
can get it on Amazon and all that stuff, but you can also read it for free completely online. So we're not trying to sell you the book. The book is available
No,
for
no.
free if you want to. If you could buy it on Amazon and help us out, great. But you can get it. You can read it for free.
The book is free, and I will say that even that obviously this is a book that was published 2013. You know,
Exactly. So
don't
10
look
years
at the
ago, man,
applications, please. Don't look at the application list. Some of them
they
don't
have
even exist.
changed.
But the other part, it works. And, the late Steve Jobs, on the D8 conference says PCs are going to be like trucks.
Yeah.
And that's, what he was saying about the tablet or about the PCs and, in comparison with the tablets. And there is no doubt that the iPad changed the market. Okay.
Yeah.
And for the people who told me, well, and there's people who told me, I don't know about that. I say, well, where is the clones of the Newton? Okay. The Newton was an Apple product. Okay. That
Mhm.
was a failure before Steve Jobs rejoined Apple. And you don't hear the Newtons. Okay. You don't hear the Newtons never had clones. The iPad instead, Samsung has their own version, Google has their own version, Microsoft has their own version, everybody has their own version.
Yeah.
Why? That is the reason. And as I was saying at the beginning of the show, I think we are going to see their clone version of this. Okay. And the question will be, how much can you really interact with the rest? How much can you really integrate your PC? How much can you really integrate your Chromebooks and into these other devices? We know on the Apple Vision Pro, it will integrate your phone, it will integrate
Yeah.
your
Your
tablet,
iCloud,
it will
everything.
integrate iCloud, it will integrate your Mac. So if you are an Apple guy, everything will be integrated in this device.
Yeah, I mean, you can argue that if you're an Apple guy, the Vision Pro will work for you out of the box. Like
Mhm.
you will. So they also announced like most of the apps will be available on day one. So even Nozbe, we will not have to do much to be able to be compatible with Vision Pro. On day one. Of course, we can then figure out additional things that we can do, but the basic way of having a window of Nozbe anywhere within the Vision Pro, no problem, it's going to be available. So they have this whole advantage of having the iCloud, the storage, having the all the data, everything tailored to you. So basically, it's like another iOS device. So again, in our book, we were discussing this, that having your iPhone and your iPad, you have basically have two computers with you at all times,
All
and
times.
this time you will have three computers with you basically, or two. So the iPhone and the Vision Pro, or maybe the iPad as well. So, but anyway, having all these devices, you're basically set up. So in that sense, again, it's a big advantage for Apple that they can launch with the whole ecosystem and with the whole legacy that they've built, which just works perfectly for this product. Um, so, uh, but again, the question is, will then the application evolve to be more three-dimensional, more augmented reality, and so on? I think so. I mean, judging by the popularity of AI right now, like this will be the future.
I will be. I have been in IT or very close to IT for more than 20 years, and I remember when the iPhone came out, and I remember my friends of IT because I have a lot of them, and a lot of the what I do in productivity has ties with IT. And I remember, oh, we're not going to allow to have iPhones in organization. And I remember having those conversations and telling to these IT people and say, so how you are going to do when the CEO send the email and say he wants an iPhone? We will tell him that the BlackBerry is the device to have. Okay. We all know in 2023 how those emails went.
Yeah,
Okay.
how this all went down. Yes.
And the same thing with the iPad. I have now seen more and more executive, um, even mid-level executive who are iPad only or who have, their laptops as you described, are basically desktops. Okay. They're hardwired in their office when they get to the office and
Yep.
they travel with the iPad everywhere. Um, This device, because of the price, obviously, it's not yet mainstream. It's
No,
really targeted
no, this is like,
for
first
a
version and
specific.
early adopters. Yeah. Hmm.
Now, that market, okay, high level executive, okay, and mid level executive who travels often. What is the big problem these people have? They get in a plane, okay, they are short of a space. Okay,
Yeah.
that's part of being on a plane. I don't care if you are in first class. Okay, now you move from your massive desk at office, okay, to this tiny laptop, okay, where you may or may not be very comfortable. And now you have the problem of who is on my side, because the information in many of these laptops is
Oh yeah. and
very
and and
confidential.
and that's a big also security concern. Like you want to work on this very important spreadsheet. Let's say me again, having the spreadsheet of the new Nozbe pricing. I'm just
Mhm.
working on it right there, and there are people who can very easily peek on what I'm doing. With the Vision Pro, they cannot peek.
They
they
cannot
they
pick.
they just see this guy with these glasses, and that's it.
Not only that, you don't know if I am working, if I am playing. I will let you make that decision, okay, as the person who is looking at me. But from the privacy concern,
Yeah.
that make this device really, really attractive to that market, because I see them, okay, reading the PDF in the iPads, okay, all this, but they are reading where anybody surrounding can also see, okay. Now, when you can get this device, do your marks onto your PDF, work with your spreadsheet, work with your email with all confidence, okay, where you're going to be very comfortable,
Yeah.
okay, in a virtual environment, looking at your spreadsheets, looking at your graphs, looking at your PDF. $3,000 is not expensive for that market.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, completely. Like this is like I remember like we always have this discussion. Right now, we just launched a new website for lawyers that use Nozbe, nozbe.com/lawyers. Then you can see all the information. But what I'm saying is like lawyers, they are all about confidentiality, and I'm always having this argument with them because I'm like, so you're lawyers, and you are saying that you need to have your super secret, NDAs, sent securely, and then you attach them to an email. Like how is this secure? That's why I was convincing them to use Nozbe, where in Nozbe, when they attach an attachment, it automatically is encrypted. So it's not only encrypted in transit, but also on our servers.
Mhm.
So even if a hacker would gain access to our files, they would see gibberish. So it's really secure. And 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 this is next level. Like this is, you can just, you're completely isolated. You're basically in your virtual home office. Nobody can see what you're looking at, and they can see this weird person with these goggles, and you can be completely like reviewing all these NDAs, no problem. Like you're completely off the hook.
Now, that just that little, let's forget about anything else in the world.
Hmm. Yeah.
That make enough sales for Apple to keep this line alive forever. Okay. And again, this has not done yet what I think is the biggest strength for Apple. Okay.
Uh-huh.
People will complain. Okay. But the reality is, if we go back in the history, okay, Apple has done more for developers than any other corporation. And you may disagree with me or not. I don't know. Okay. But I think, is the Apple Store perfect? No, there is not. There is nothing perfect. Okay.
I know. Uh-huh.
But
It's not.
there is not perfect. I agree it's not. But it's not. But we need to remember where we were before that, where
Hmm.
we were before. Okay. And it was a problem for end user, and it was a problem for developers to build that initial trust. Okay. Again, I'm not saying it's perfect, but Apple really helped many developers to launch. Yeah, okay, I know Nozbe, and I've been working with Nozbe for so many years. I may not need the Apple Store anymore, but there is still a lot of software that I play and that I test, but I will not buy unless it's through a store. Because I
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
yeah, of course. I mean, there is still this argument that whenever we are featured somewhere as Nozbe, then we get a spike of
Right.
sales and all that stuff. So yeah, of course it makes sense. No, I mean, yeah, I mean that's the strength. Again, the whole ecosystem is already built, so
That
they don't have to
said,
build it. They have the
mhm,
back. They have the what we in IT call the back end. They have it.
correct.
It's there, as we said,
And
the
now
file
it
system,
comes the
everything.
fun part. Because the thing is, Apple, and again, Apple did this with the phone, Apple did this better on the iPad, Apple did this incredibly well with the watch.
Yeah,
And now they have all those 20 or 10 plus years of experience to dump it into this product. And what I'm more excited about it is not the device and what Apple is going to do, is what I have not envisioned yet.
yeah.
What these developers are going to come into change. Because you touch with this device, or Apple touch with this device, very key things. Okay. Privacy is a big thing. Even if you decide to watch a movie, I don't want anybody to know, you know, that I'm watching, I don't know, Fast and the Furious. Okay. Very
I
loud.
mean, man, it's even worse. Like, so the other day I was on the plane with my wife, and we were watching a TV series together, and then we wanted to watch one of the episodes of this controversial TV series called Bridgerton, and over there are some kind of, let's say, pretty
Yeah.
revealing scenes
They're
sometimes.
correct.
So this is not something I want to watch, and then having people around me see that I'm watching that. Like it's at some point it just looks like I'm watching porn, like on the plane, which wasn't true. But it was the there was the there
Well,
could
you
be
may
this.
have been admired. You were watching Playing in the Porn with the wife. People will give you credit for that, I may
Right, yeah,
say.
yeah, it's a spousal bonding moment right there. But yeah, but that's the thing. You can watch things on a big virtual screen, again, in the privacy of your own eyes.
And that privacy, again, from my perspective, has a fantastic um it's a
Hmm.
fantastic selling point, and it's a selling point to the market who have the money to pay the product right now.
Yeah, and,
That's
and and I mean, completely. The thing is that they don't have to sell so many of the first version. They can sell only few, but they will see. I mean, quite a lot of few things. But these few things, the version one will be enough to validate the product, to see where people take it, to see where developers take it, and then to see what's more. Because in every you know in every product there comes a point you have to ship it to people,
Mhm.
so to really see what they are going to do with it. And we had the same thing when we launched, like in 2020. We launched, in the middle of the pandemic, we launched the Nozbe Teams, which now is the new Nozbe. But we launched it because we couldn't anymore just have it for ourselves. We wanted to share it with our customers, see what they will, well do,
Do.
where they will take it, you know um, and now we are basically busy, like this year, a few years after launch, we are basically building more features just for our customers, features that we would never use, or we won't use that much, but our customers need them, and but they're completely coherent with the product. And this is the same thing. Apple has envisioned the first thing, what they want to do with this, and but they have made this array of sensors, cameras, and all that stuff. um, and they want to see what people will do with it. And I think, I mean, I totally share your belief that they will have enough people buying that stuff to see where it will go.
Well, Apple has, again, a massive advantage. From that privacy perspective, any executive who use an iPhone already knows how to use this device.
Yeah, again.
Okay.
Hmm.
It is not, again, when Apple came with the iPhone, okay, you need to sell a new platform, and it took them a little bit. Okay. This device, just, again, forget everything else. Forget everything cool thing that you can think right now. From a people in a certain positions and roles and careers where you handle documentation that should be confidential, this device is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's a mistake not to get it. It's exactly the opposite. It's a mistake. And now, from the productivity perspective, okay, one of the things in that I discuss in personal productivity is personal productivity by definition is personal. Okay? And when, as a coach and as an expert on Nozbe, I said there is a difference. Okay, when you want to implement Nozbe, you need to make one decision first. Is this personal productivity or this is organizational productivity? Okay,
Hmm.
are you going to go into your organization, and if you are going to go into your organization, you need to understand there is a big difference. You are putting productivity on the open.
Hmm.
Productivity, traditionally, it's not. And I have made this joke now for many years is, you don't believe me? Well, show me your system. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know no one who is very strong on the productivity world, coaches, teachers, and users, okay, who, when I say that, okay, don't cringe. I don't know anyone. Hey, sorry, if you tell
Yeah.
me right now, share your personal productivity system on a screen, I cringe. My company knows me. Oh, no problem. That we can share. No, no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Okay. But there is a difference. Okay. Now, again, you coming back to the privacy.
Hmm.
Imagine for a moment, open a vision board, open um, a mind map. Okay, open a free form application. Hey, the free form application already exists, and I know you're a heavy user of that.
Yes, I am.
Imagine a free form not on a 12-inch,
Yeah, but on
in
a,
a 90-inch.
yeah, exactly, on a freaking big inch.
So that that part is, if Apple play that confidential side, again, it's nothing necessarily that you are hiding anything. Hey, my wife can come into my computer. She knows the password. There is no
Exactly.
secret between us. Okay. But if she comes right now and open my Nusby, I will be uncomfortable. Okay. There is nothing on that. But
And but think about that, also in the office environment. So if people start using that in the office environment, it's the same thing. Now the managers cannot do what they love, cannot perform what they truly appreciate, and it's managing by walking around,
right.
because when they walk around they just see people with goggles. So they have no clue what they're doing, for like they can be browsing Facebook for all I know,
Yep.
so it's again the question of really changing the mindset of observing what people have on their screens to
From
really
trust.
setting them trust and setting them tasks and projects to do, and just trusting that they will get them done.
Mhm. And that's where, you know, this will bring, again, a massive change,
Hmm.
because those elements are too big for to be ignored. Again, I'm talking about first generation product. We're talking
Yeah,
about the first 2 or 3 years of this product. By
exactly.
then, developers will really define where this product is going, as they did on the iPad, as they did on the watch. At least that's my opinion. But the initial characteristics that Apple showed already are said to be a massive success at that level. And at that level, okay, again, executive people who ask highly confidential information, $3,500, it's not a problem.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like when it was, sorry, but again, back to what I said about Nozbe raising prices and all that stuff. So we had, there were some customers who did complain, and I totally understand that. But one of my arguments that actually won many of these, people over was, guys, even after the raises, Nozbe is one of the few productivity apps that is below $10 per user per month. Everything else is more expensive. All right. So it was kind of so, but it's the same thing, uh, you look for bang for the buck. So, $10 per
Everybody
month
do.
for Nozbe or less is nothing compared to hours you're gonna save and the hours you bill for, hundreds of dollars. So that's one thing. And the same thing here, the 3500 for this device, having the privacy, not having been not being concerned about many things, is just priceless. So that's completely true. So Augusto, we have to wrap it up because we're getting to an hour, so we should
Oh,
wrap it
we
up.
did.
Yes, yes, like we always do. So first of all, before we wrap up, I would like to appreciate that we both have red shirts for some reason. I don't know how we got it in sync, but this is how we did. We didn't talk before this about attire before this recording, so that's so heads up for that. Second thing, I think something that I shared with you when we saw each other, that you liked that I had AirTags on my children, when we were traveling in New York, and especially New York City. You want to have AirTags on your children because you can lose them very quickly.
My son has now one.
Exactly. So I want to just give you a heads up. In WWDC, they announced that iOS 17 you will be able to share AirTags with your wife and stuff. So you will be able to really share the AirTag location, which for a family is fantastic because this way the AirTags become family AirTags. So
Mhm.
so not only you, but the rest of the family members and also people you invite can really see the location of this particular device, which is super useful. So this is coming. So any final thoughts about the Vision Pro?
I am very excited about it. I'm again because when you have a hammer in your mind, everything looks like a nail. That's
Yes.
what they said. So I've been looking at the productivity perspective of this and how this device, based on the information we have, it's really going to change that. And honestly, I'm very, very excited about it. And not only for the Vision Pro, I'm a big believer on competition. Okay. I
Yeah.
live on an Apple ecosystem, but I love when Samsung and Google comes with high-end devices because the better their devices, the better they will push Apple and vice versa.
Yes.
So I hope that Samsung. I don't have hope. Is Samsung on Google? I don't have hope in Microsoft, sadly. Uh, but I hope that Samsung or Google decide to really push for their version of these things.
Yeah, completely. I completely agree with you. I think um, I will end also with a quote from Mac Stories article from Federico Vitici, who wrote that he saw. I mean, he had the demo. So I envy him that he had the demo of the device, and he said that he saw the future and was so sad to be back in the past. So. So I completely would like to share his enthusiasm for that device. That this is the future. So and again, people like us who like to embrace the future, who like to embrace the unknown, the new ecosystems, the new devices, this is a great time to be alive.
Yes, it
Thanks
is.
everyone for listening. It was Augusto Pinaud and Michael Sliwinski. Thank you so much, and see you in the next one. Don't cram 20 people on Zoom.
Fluorescent lighted office all day long. You probably are going to work from home.